Hey guys, Kev here, and I have a new KB knife to talk about today. So this is the KB470A, and it's in M390 and titanium. This is what you call the Zephyr, baby. This is Casey's design, Knives Fast, my boy. And this is Kubey's first integral. So very cool to see this. Yeah, I'm excited to check it out. Unbox it here. Have the binge in my pocket. We have the all gray version, the plain Jane, the basic bitch, as they would say, or I would say. Very, very interesting. So we have an integral, obviously, which is really cool. This gearing back here, whatever we're going to call that. It's very flat. Very flat. I know Casey loves contouring, so it's interesting. It does feel good. I love looking at the back of an integral. Isn't it the coolest thing? Integral, whatever you want to call it. It's like Bowie. I just call it both now. Does have a reversible clip, which is interesting, actually. I wonder if that's just because Casey maybe designed it that way. Because this does not seem like a knife that really needs one, to be honest. Somebody who's left-handed and cares about that. It's a frame lock, you know, and it's a very expensive knife to make. I could totally understand why they would leave that off, but it's very subtle. Doesn't get in the way or anything. When I saw this knife for the first time, I believe Casey Knives Fast showed me. Definitely check out his channel, guys, if you haven't. I'm sure most of you that follow me follow him, but if not, by chance, definitely check out Knives Fast. He is the guy behind Knives Fast and Tempest blades, and this is his design, which is cool. He's done a bunch with Kubey. It's got the sort of pivot collar looking thing, the pivot plate, and that helps with disassembly. So if you take this screw out, this plate will come out, and then you can get, usually that way you can get the stop pin out, you can get the bearings out. Makes it a lot easier to disassemble. With some integrals, you have to kind of try to get it all out of the top here, and it ends up leading to play because they have to leave enough room, you know. Let me flick the thing. Frame lock, I gotta stay off that. Okay. It's a larger knife. So it doesn't look like the lock bar is an issue. I don't know if that's because the D10 is on the softer side. Let me try it lefty. Yeah, it's on the softer side. I'd prefer it to be a bit stronger, but we'll see if it breaks in here. Sometimes the detent ball just needs to wear through a coating or something. I mean, it's extremely smooth. Everything feels good. I mean, you can see that. Definitely a larger knife. I mean, it's got to be at least 3.5 inches. See if it's more. This is the Divo Tall Boy, 3.5-inch blade. And we have not quite, we have just a touch more handle. And the blade is about the same, so we have that. Grab the old ruler here. So let me do it this way so I can make sure I'm lining it up well. So we have a basically 3 3/4 inch blades. That's a pretty big one there. That's what she said. Handle length is 4.5, maybe. It's like 4.6. So, you know, you're looking at 4.6 plus 3.75. I suck at math, but it's somewhere around 8.5 inches, right? Whew. Yeah, I mean, it's got good action. It's rounded up here, which is kind of a cool feature. It just looks kind of flows nice, and then when you open it, right, that tucks in right here. Look, I mean, it's a very clean looking knife, right? I think it's very clean. I don't know if I said this. I was going to, and then I probably got distracted. When I first saw this knife, I thought these triangles were kind of weird. They're like oddly shaped in different kind of patterns. I think Casey said Kubey added those, but I'm not sure. He might have done it. It's got a finger choil, which is nice, kind of a 50-50 choil, which I always love. Jimping rides up, which is very nice as well. It's actually very nice, ergonomic in that sense. You know, I dare say a mini Zephyr would be pretty cool, I think. I think a mini would be right up my alley, to be honest. You have a very tall blade, so it should slice pretty well. Oh, I got rid of all my stuff over here. Oh, no, I have this. Sorry. Start with a little cardboard here just to see. Yeah, no problem at all with the cardboard. Not going to do any utility. I usually do the utility cuts, but I just got this new tray, so I really don't want to jack it up already, if you know what I mean. And it's going to be tougher to get to the utility cut because it's got that drop point blade shape, belly up to the tip. You got to come up pretty high, put some pressure down on it. Not going to be the best for those utility cuts, but it would get the job done, obviously. I do have the U-line catalog, so we can see how sharp the edge is. It's Kubey. They usually do a pretty good job out of the box. By the way, I suck at cutting this stuff. I also suck at ripping it out of the catalog. I mean, that's the sharpest knife I think I've had with this catalog paper, which is like, 5 or 6 knives so far, but I don't think I've had a single one where I could kind of do these S cuts on it. Seems a lot easier than usual. So that's very nice. I like that quite a bit. Price point. So it is an integral. Integrals are just inherently more expensive. So you guys should know that. They have this specific version, at $388. I saw that on the KB website. This version was sold out. If you're interested in this knife, I do have a link. It'll be in the description. It'll be pinned in the comments as well. And I do have a discount code. The discount code saves you 20% off at KB Knives. So it's a good code for you guys to use, especially if you're picking up something like this. It is code LeftyEDC. So pretty straightforward. LeftyEDC code, 20% off. Now, again, like I said, they don't have this version. They have this really cool looking bronze anno version. That one's $428, and that's because it has a DLC blade. And then they have a DLC handle and blade, and that one's $468. So it looks like they're adding like $40 every time they add DLC to a blade or a handle, which is kind of interesting. I do think these black ones look a little cooler just because of the contrast look to it. But here's the handle and blade in DLC. Now, if you're dead set on this version right here, which is, the one I think most people would get just because it's the plain Jane one, I did see that a Knife Global has it right now. Now, Knife Global, I believe, is part of Kubey. I think it's their international website, if I'm not mistaken. I think KB Knives is their US site, and then Knife Global is their international site, but I'm not positive. So I don't want to give credence to this website, but I think people have ordered from it before. Just, order with a little bit of skepticism. But they do have it. It says they have 20 left, and it's at that $388 price. Now, I don't think my 20% off code would work, so, there's that. But I did not see it available at any dealers, but it is possible that it is and just didn't come up on that Google search. Does look like the plunge grind is coming to right about here. You can see that line right there. So you do have a few sharpenings, it looks like, before you have an issue. It has a bead blasted blade. Looks good though. It's kind of like I don't know what you would call it. I think they call it a sand blast because it is a little bit finer looking than just a bead blast. It looks good. Same with on the handle. It's very nice. The milling on the pocket clip to match the milling on the handle looks pretty cool as well. You obviously have a steel insert. There is a stop pin in there. I believe it's going to be mounted underneath of this pivot collar, which I kind of want to take apart. I think we should. I am going to pass this around, so hopefully we can get it back together. But let us investigate and see what is underneath of here, okay? So I'm going to grab my bit driver here and should just need a T8. Now with an integral or integral, however you want to say it, you're not going to have body screws to mess with. Don't need to take your clip screw off, right? Now, if I was reversing the clip, obviously I would do that. You just need to take the pivot out and then figure out how you're getting apart the knife. So let's see how this goes. Take out the pivot screw. Oh, let me grab one of my handy dandy magnetic trays. I got these. If you checked out my Tinker Force video, the trays are magnetic, so they magnetize to the tray, to the larger tray, which is cool. Just figured I'd show you guys that. To check out Tinker Force, they're always linked in my Disassembly Tools. So what I need to do is I need to be able to get this little tab out, okay? Now, I don't know if it's just going to tap out or if it's going to be a biznatch to get out. So we're going to have to figure that out. Now, can I push the pivot out? I don't know if you guys heard that, but I heard something kind of pop, like it was clicking into place or something. Trying to be careful because I don't want to cut myself, obviously. It's not wanting to budge any further. Looks like the collar goes... I'm guessing it includes this area, but it almost looks like maybe it doesn't. I got a little corner sticking up here. Oh. Yeah, I had it. I had the corner sticking up. So let me see. What did I do? Pushing on this did that? Oh. Got it out a little further. See if I can just tap this. Yep, it's coming out. There we go. We got that out. And now you'll see, here's a bearing, and here is your stop pin. So I should be able to tap those out too. There's one bearing. Whoops. Now to get the blade out, you do need to get the pivot out. And what I'm doing is using my T8, which is not touching the threads, and I'm pushing on basically this screw on the other side. I can see the red Loctite in there. Just kind of giving it a push. There it goes. Just had to kind of ease it out. So we'll look at that captive system in a second. So now what will happen is this should just be able to come out. It's always best to kind of put a little pressure on the lock bar so that it's not pinching everything as you're doing that. But there you have it. The blade, the bearings are out. The stop pin now, we would try to tamp out. Let me try a magnet here. And there we go. Magnet, pulled it out. And watch this. Because this is steel. It's sticking to there's a magnet in there that holds your parts. Now, of course, most of these parts are titanium, but it is kind of cool. Like down here is a magnet. It holds the blade. But there isn't one over here. It's just down there for some reason. I don't know why they put it there, but just something interesting to note. You could always put your blade up here, whatever. You put your handle down here. You do things however you like. I'm going to clean this up. I don't know if it'd be fun to put skiffs in here. I mean, I'm passing it around, so I don't know if it's a great idea. But I might do it because some guys are going to ask what the bearings are. They look like standard ones to me. Just at first glance, they look like 5mm 1/16 to me. So we should be able to fit the 12 ball bearings in here. Currently, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 bearings. So you'd be gaining 6 bearings total in the knife if you swap these out. So we might as well do it. Also just for fun, you know. You guys know I like a good disassembly. So I just like to wipe everything down. This is very smooth. Very, like it almost feels like an MP3 coating or something if you guys are familiar. Very small detent hole, which is interesting. Just going to take one of these little Q-tips and see if I can get in there. See if there's anything going on. Yeah, there's a little bit of schmutz in there. Quite a bit, actually. Well, I mean, it's all very relative considering how small these are. I'm going to put a little alcohol in there. Just going to spray the thing. Oh, wait, actually. I mean, at some point I'm going to get it all over the tray, so it doesn't matter. Trying to baby the tray, you know. There we go. That one will clean it all up. Yeah, that one's pretty much clean. Dry this up. The only thing you don't want to do is lose the tip in there, that's all. Other than that, just clean it, you know. Lock bar looks good, but I get down there with this, not really. Just get some of the schmutz out of these areas. There's a steel washer down there. You can see a steel washer was implanted, so to speak. This one has a washer on it as well, which is kind of cool. Just kind of stuck on there. Wouldn't it be here? Felt like it was on the other side, right? I'm pretty sure it goes here. So I'll probably make sure those are still facing the same way. And one other thing we can do over here, clean the pivot. So I'll just take my alcoholed up cloth. By the way, I use 91% usually. I buy it on Amazon and I just refill this thing. You can get these at like, you know, Walgreens, CVS, or order it on Amazon. But don't keep buying these spray bottles. You can get the big bottles of 91 and then just fill that up over and over because those cost more, obviously. But anyway, I'm going to get my T6 out here using my Divo screwdriver designed by O.Show. And these are going to be available soon. So we are near the finish line. There's probably going to be quite a few Divo releases before the end of the year. Whoop. Okay, clean that all up. There's a captive system, so you can see the notch right there. No pivot collar or anything, but the pivot itself has a little notch there, so pretty straightforward. Clean that up a little too, I guess. And I want to make sure I clean up the pivot screw. Just take a T8. And then, yeah, you can see there's some gunk on there. Pretty much always the case when you get a knife because they're using Loctite or there's oil in there or there's just, you know, materials rubbing together. Just very rare you get a super clean knife out of the box. Clean this washer. I'm going to leave the other one alone in there because it's already stuck to the other side with lube or something. The stop pin looks good. Just give it a once over. Okay, so skiffs. Check our handy dandy Tinker Force container thing. 5 mil, 1/16 12 ball. That's what we need. And real quick, I'll show you using the Skiff test fit card. So both of these items come from, both of these come from skiffworkshop.com. Check them out. Use my code LeftyEDC. It'll save you 10% on anything on skiffworkshop.com. And yeah, this is basically how you can tell what bearings you need to order if you don't want to be like me and have 80 different sets of bearings. But basically you want to check the ball size. So they come in different sizes of those black ceramic balls. This one's going to fall into our 1/16 pocket. So you just want to make sure it doesn't go into the next smallest one. 3/64 does not fit. So it is a 1/16 ball. Then you take your pivot and you want to pop it into the correct size, which is going to be a 5 millimeter in this case. So again, fits in the 5, does not fit in the 3/16. So we know this is a 5 millimeter 1/16 bearing size, okay? Now that'll get you 90% of the way there. Then you need to get the right amount of balls. And for that, you just would want to measure the overall diameter of your bearing pocket. For the most part, it's straightforward and it'll be obvious. In this case, you can see there's a single row of balls there. So the 12 ball count is a single row of balls and it is going to match up pretty well. You could literally just measure your bearings if you wanted to. This is something I don't talk about enough, so I figured I'd just mention it here. If you take this and you measure the outer diameter of your stock bearing, you're at 0.374 inches, right? And if you look at this bag, it's 0.370. So obviously, if this bearing fits, this is going to fit. So you just want to double check that one measurement if you're not sure. It's usually pretty obvious, But when you get into the 6mm size, sometimes it gets confusing because there's 6mm single row like this, and that one has like 13 or 14 balls. Then you have double row with 16 balls, and then you have double row with 18 balls, and so there's just a lot of options. If you're not sure, measure like I just said, or go to the Skiff Workshop website. They have a compatibility spreadsheet, and hopefully your knife is on there. That's one of the reasons I do a lot of these disassemblies, is so that I can help add to that list. Which reminds me, I need to add a few that I've done recently to that list. All right, so I'm just going to pop that pivot in there. I'm going to get it lined up properly. I didn't know it was meant to be crooked. That's kind of weird. It's got to be a mistake. I screwed up. Yep, it's turned sideways. It should go in straight. There. You heard it click in, so it's nice and set. Okay. I'm an idiot. That's not going to work in this case because, yeah, it's just not going to work because it's an integral. We're not stacking the knife, Kev. All right, so let's use our brains here. I'm going to grab the 2 oils that I use, or lubricants that I use. Shake them up. These are from Carbon Honey. Fantastic lubricant. You guys can use whatever you want. KPL. Use the code LeftyEDC at KPL. I've heard Gunny Juice, Gunny Slide, whatever is very good. But this is my current favorite. And I use the thick. Or was it? Yeah, thick. I put that right here on the detent ball track. Literally, you can just put a little dot right on that track that you see there. That should be plenty, especially with this finish. It's already very smooth, so it shouldn't be a problem. Then I'm going to take the medium and I'm going to put some on my finger, rub it in. That's what she said. And then I'm going to caress the bearings. Sorry, but I am. This is what I'm doing. And then I'll probably just set that there for now. Take this. All right. So I'm going to drop the stop pin in, I think. I'm going to go with that first. Should I? Yeah, I think that's fine. We'll see if that's a mistake in a second. So you just push that in. That's pretty straightforward, okay? Now, we need to kind of finagle this. It's not going to be too difficult, but I'm going to put the pivot in just a touch. Might have to wait. Yeah, I'm going to wait. Okay. So I'm going to... No, I do need to put it in a touch and put one bearing in first. So I'm going to get one of the bearings in there. I'm actually going to put the pivot all the way through. Drop that bearing on there so it drops down. Okay. Set this one down now. Clean my fingers so I have some maneuverability. I'm going to try to keep the pivot pretty much lined up where I want it, but not like perfect. Now I need to let the pivot come out a little bit, but not let that bearing flop out. And then I'm going to, okay, this will work though. Now I'm going to put in the blade. I'm going to have to lift the frame lock up a little bit so that it pops in. And then I'm going to get this pivot through the bearing and then through the blade. Okay, so now I have those two in. Those are the hard ones. Now you can drop your top bearing in. And at this point is when you probably want to start paying attention to how you have your pivot oriented, because it's going to be a lot harder to rotate and fix once it's like all the way together. Okay. So as you can see, it's difficult because I can't grab it. So I need to just push the pivot out a touch, grab it, turn it to where I need it, try to get it locked in. Don't think it's locked in all the way. It's still just a touch off. It might lock itself in when I tighten the pivot, but I'm going to be safe and just do it now. Of course, it's going to be tough now for some reason. Not worried about that bearing falling out. Just need this to center up. Okay. I think I've got that all the way in. Now I can put this in again. So now we got our bearings in. Now you don't want to forget the washer. That's important. And I want this rounded side, not this flat side. I want that facing the bearing. Then I'm going to take this. I put lube on the bearing. I'm just going to put just a dab on this washer just for shits and giggles. Now this plate is going to drop in like so. It's going to be a tight fit because it's CNC EDM, wire EDM cut. Very nice. I think I have that pivot all the way in. It's very hard to tell. It looks lined up, right? We're going to find out here in a second. Try not to touch the screw with my oily hands. So I'm just going to put it in my cloth real quick. And there we go. All right. Take my T8 again and tighten this down. Okay. Now I'm safe to let go, so I'm going to put my driver back together. All right. So now we just got to see if we did it right, if it's centered, all that good stuff. Probably going to need this. Okay. So we are centered. I did not check how tight I went, but I don't have any play. And it's butter. So I'm very happy at the current moment. Now it's fully tightened. Dead nuts. Perfectly centered. Still, oh my God. Brand new bearings in it is as good or better than out of the box. Has a nice acoustic too now. No rock, no play. Feels excellent. So, checking for lash, nothing. Detent feels a little bit better than it did initially. So there might have been a little bit of gunk in there in that detent hole that was holding it back, but it feels pretty much the same. So I don't know if it's going to feel any stronger at all. Yeah, it's soft enough that I can easily reverse flick it, probably with my finger on the, yeah. So, you know, it's going to be hit or miss for people. I think it being Kubey, some of them are probably going to be perfect, you know, and this one's just on the lighter side of acceptable. It's still fine. As you can see, I can fire it. No problem. Very cool. All right, I'm going to Loctite this. Or glue it, I guess, depending on the situation. Let's see. Take it out. We're going to, real quick, because I'm OCD, going to clean it one more time. Let's see if I get anything. Just a little bit. I think I'm okay with not cleaning the pivot. Tighten it down right away. Full tightness, dead centered. Fires. No play, no rock. So I think I can glue this one. And it's already like, not even sure you need any Loctite on this knife, to be honest. But, you know. Might as well use some thread locker. So I'm going to use the old super glue. It is a brand new tube, so unfortunately when that happens it tends to leak a little. And that's when I have issues because it gets on stuff. So I'm just being careful. You see it's already coming out. So I'm just going to put just the tiniest bit there. Tighten it down. Dead centered. Fire. No play. Yeah, we're good. I feel like I felt something there moving, but definitely wasn't the, let me just put this away. Yeah, wasn't leaking or anything. The last couple times when I first opened this pen, I got super glue like on the scales of a knife, and then I got some on my hands. That was very frustrating. Okay, put this stuff away. That super glue is curing right now. And then I usually just put the bearings into the bag of the skiff bag, and then I'll put that in the box so that if I pass it around or whatever, people kind of get the point. This knife has skiffs in it now, you know. Sure, some people think it comes with extra bearings or something. Yeah. Let me see if I feel what I felt a second ago. You hear that? It's like a cracking sound. I don't know what the heck that is. I wonder if it could be like this piece right here, like just settling or shifting or, you know, rubbing against the other side or something. Oh, was it the lock bar? Was it just me? Am I like shoving the lock bar? Let me try it without touching the lock bar. It's kind of hard. You hear that? I don't know what the hell that is because there's no movement. And then when I disengage it, there's no stick at all. It's perfect. Yeah, I think it's just some integral shit. You know, maybe it's the stop pin. Maybe there's like just a tiny bit of room for that stop pin to move, and that could, is it rattle? I mean, I can almost feel something moving, but I can't hear anything. I think it's in my head. I think we're good. And either way, we're good. Because it's solid as hell. And the action is bananas. So, yeah, very well done by Kubey. By Kubey Knives. It actually, the fact that they've made an integral now made me want to try it out. So I think we're going to try to do a Divo Fireball integral. I think that would be really cool because the Fireball is kind of set up like an integral already. It's not an integral in any way, but it uses a back strap, so it kind of looks like one in a sense. So I think it would still look right if we did it as an integral, if that makes sense. So I don't know if we'll use Kubey for that, but I think we'll give them a shot. I mean, the quality here is very nice. I'm curious what the cost would be. I mean, if they have to sell this for $388 as the base price on their own knife, where they're usually trying to be affordable, you know, we'll have to see where we come out with it. But I don't know if we could get an integral out for under $400. I don't know if it's possible, but I think that would be pretty cool, right? So anyway, just something on the old agenda. That agenda is very full at the moment, so I don't know when that would be, but I'm sure you guys will see prototypes at some point. Yeah, there's no lash, there's no play or anything. It feels great, guys. Integrals are tough, man. I don't know if I've ever had an integral that actually felt like perfectly dialed like a knife should. There's usually just something that feels weird. The centering's a little off. The lock bar feels odd. There's a little bit of lash. You know, you get blade play because, you know, this has to be perfectly machined for everything to work. You don't have body screws to kind of fix your mistakes and clamp down on stuff. So it's a difficult process, and they seem to have nailed it. I mean, the only gripe that I have is one personal gripe, you know, the detent, but honestly, I don't think it's something I can say is an issue with the knife because the detent is fine. You know, I want it to be a little stronger, but that doesn't necessarily mean it should be, and that you out there wouldn't be happy with it, because I can reverse flick it, no problem. I can thumb flick it like a beast, right? Left-handed, same thing. Let me check how late the detent is or early the detent is. That's pretty good, actually. So there it is. And then clears. It's actually very good. So no issue there. Yeah. This is what I would call... Oh, shit. Stands up. This is what I would call excellent. So, great job, Kubey. Great job, Casey. Yeah. Yeah, so the only, like, real criticism would be that, I guess, if you can count it, I guess you can make this sound. It's so stupid because there's nothing actually wrong with it. Is there a pivot lash? Is that what it is? Let's see if we have any movement. No. Kubey's a pretty big culprit of pivot lash. But, like, if that's the one thing, I'll take that trade-off all day, right? If that's their one thing. But this has none. Sometimes the skiffs help that, but, again, that sound or whatever is not coming from that. That's for sure. Wow. Really well done. And we got to give Casey really big props for the design. I mean, excellent work on the design. It's very appealing, I would say, to the masses, this one, right? It reminds me a little bit of the Quiet Carry 9. I feel like it has that, like, aura to it, aesthetic to it. But, yeah, I think it's a good design. I think the milling looks sick. I'm not sure on these, but in person, I kind of like it. I do wish it was a little more contoured. You know, with Casey, I expect things to be contoured a little more heavily because he's a big fan of that. But with these collaboration knives, the designers have a lot less control, especially with Kubey, I hear. They don't send them prototypes. They don't really do anything. They barely send them a production sample when they're done. So, yeah. All right. KB Knives Zephyr. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I have the link down there if you want the other two versions with DLC. Use that code LeftyEDC. Save yourself 20%. I love you guys. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day. And I will catch you later. Peace.